Hello and good evening, my friends out there. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Today, we have a very special theme. I guess all my themes are special. I hope so they are. I hope you enjoy them. So what's up today? The good and not so good doctor. Originally, I called it the good and the bad doctor. I'm not very diplomatic. And a friend of mine said, no, you cannot say that. Just say the not so good doctor. Okay. So I said, okay, the good and not so good doctor. It's something I really wanted to talk about for a long time because over the past 40 years, since I'm an alternative medicine, first part as a passion, then later the last 10 years, 12 years as a profession, I've seen so much. I met so many people. I've seen too much to be quiet, to be hush-hush. I have to say something. All what I'm saying today is, of course, like always, my personal opinion. I'm not a doctor. I cannot give medical advice. Everything I say is my highly personal and private opinion. Whether it makes sense or not, it's up to you to decide. Maybe I can give you some ideas and some information. Hopefully you did not have some point of view, some thoughts, all right? Maybe. I don't know. Now, I thought I should start with a starting point where I give you some basic thoughts before we touch the good and the not so good doctor. A starting point about things which I feel I should say, okay? Many people search every day for a doctor, thousands, millions a day. Some are effectively helped. That means real and persistent, not just temporarily helped. Help is for me persistent and steady. However, I believe that more people are not helped than people are helped, in my definition. Real and persistent. So that's my personal observation. So these people remain patients for months, for years, maybe even for the rest of their lives. They'll remain patients, and they never get out of it. It's a tragedy. It's so sad. Many are hopeless. They already worked with 5, 10 or more doctors. And they went through all of these and they don't have any more confidence. They just lost their trust and their faith. And they also lost any hope. Because they've seen so much, they went through too much, and they don't see any real change. Many of them, according to a conversation, suffer because the doctors do not believe when they talk about their illness symptoms. Many people keep telling me that the doctor just doesn't believe them, and they know where it hurts, they know how it feels, they know where they have problems, and many doctors simply doubt it. Simple reason, they cannot follow what these people really feel, what they go through. And we have so many doctors who don't know. We will talk about these, right? As a result, most of the people give up. They become apathetic. They swallow pills, whatever any doctor prescribes to them. They no longer believe that it's possible there could be a true recovery. And I understand their feelings. I don't know whether you went through similar things. A lot of them do. Many people bill everything they do with the doctor through a health insurance if they have one. And just they follow the protocols that the health insurance pays for. But the health insurance does not pay for everything which makes sense. There are things out there which are very trustworthy, but the health insurance decided not to pay these treatments. So let's at the beginning look into why somebody, perhaps most likely, becomes a doctor. I found, to my analysis, 3 reasons, in no particular order. Money. Of course, money is a possible motivation to become a doctor. To have your own practice, a large house, a big car, and for somebody who believes in our system, thinks that money is the most important thing. As a motivation, it shouldn't be. And some take the profession with the motivation, a lot of money being done. I understand that. It's absolutely fine to make good money by doing good work. If you do good work. If. However, there are many doctors, especially young doctors, who don't have their own practice. They can't afford to have their practice. And these doctors open up not a practice, but work in a hospital. And I've been told that these doctors in the hospital don't get paid a hell lot of money. Not very much money. And effectively, it's often said that they're really being exploited from the hospital, by the hospital, to work for very little. All right, that is the case. So we have the case, with no question, of money. I don't deny that it's possible, perhaps. What percentage, I don't know. Nobody can guess. But then there's another reason which follows right up, and the other reason is something which I call reputation. As before, many doctors are designated again and again as gods in white. It's, to the most part, completely unjustified, of course. But people, at least inwardly, bow to the profession. They bow through this profession because it has such an incredible high reputation in our society for many, many decades. Partially that many years ago, when people could hardly read or write, the doctor was a person who could read and write, and he had the respect right from there. As we will see from my point of view, respect for many doctors is completely unjustified. But let's see what we'll find out. Real respect is earned through achievements, not through a title, or not through the fact that you belong to a group. I have no respect for a political person, be a chancellor or president as such, because in almost all cases they have sold their soul, their decency and their honor. They're unethical to the bone, and I can only have zero respect for that. Whether it's a politician, a doctor, a chef in a kitchen, or any other profession, it doesn't matter. You earn respect through performance, no matter what your job is. Respect is a question of quality, of what you're doing, what you stand for, not to whom you belong. The third reason I'm listing why somebody may become a doctor is to help people. Well, I guess we all agree that this should be the primary motivation, the main motivation to become a doctor, right? Then making money and getting respect are the consequent bonuses they will receive if they are then successful as a doctor. So, help. And there's a lot of help needed out there, I tell you, a lot of help. For a doctor, it's sometimes considered successful when they really make a lot of money, but not helping in the medical sense. It is often enough to get hundreds of patients through the practice as quickly as possible and give them the illusion of help. And the doctor says, I have here a product, which is usually a pharmaceutical product, highly toxic substance, right? He says, I have here this product that could be something for you. Take it 3 pills a day, and then come back in 2 weeks. The standard sentence. And a doctor who does that like 50 times a day will pay for his life and his practice. So if a doctor does that, he seems to be successful by pushing people through his practice. But is he successful in terms of help? For me, success means a doctor helps people, really. In many face-to-face discussions with numerous doctors, they confirm to me that their education is based on writing prescriptions, almost exclusively in terms of the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, they may write a prescription for massage here and there, but that doesn't count. It's majorly pharmaceutical products. These doctors confirm to me in frank, clear, personal conversations, we're educated in university. If somebody has a problem A, we give him medication A. If somebody has medication problem B, we give him medication B. That's very simple and so on. That's how it works. I do not deny that there are cases where pharmaceutical products saved somebody's life and can save somebody's life. That's okay and that's fine. That's good. The legitimate question, however, is if somebody has to take this medication for days, weeks, months, even years on end, what is wrong in the first place? And there cannot be no remedy by constantly swallowing these chemicals on a daily basis. In principle, all pharmaceutical products are toxic chemicals. And life as we know it can only come from life, not from plastic. Many doctors have confirmed to me as well that they have no education in regarding what is healthy water, how damaging are electromagnetic radiation, what are geopathic stress zones, and what damage do they do to the human body. All these things no doctor has ever been educated. And they have little to no education about nutrition in general, dietary supplements, basic concept of dentistry. As we talk about later, for me, without having healthy teeth, you never be healthy. But basically doctors are not educated in this, without becoming a dentist, but to know the basics of it. And there are some other things they're not aware of. However, these things are all important to the human body and to the health. But that's what it is. A doctor spends per visit typically between 2 and 5 minutes with the patients. That's it. 2 to 5 minutes. You can stopwatch it. Why? Well, they got involved in loans and are totally indebted to their practice. And now they're often slaves to their practice and their bank. They just have to get as many patients through their practice as possible to meet their quota. Even when they started originally with a good idea of help, they realize now there are a business, and the business has its own laws which not always complement the idea of help. Money pressure, money worries really catches up with them. It's very sad, but it's for most of them the case. How many doctors have you personally ever visited who gave you more than 2-3 minutes of their time, serious time? Or doctors asked you about how is your marriage? How are your children doing? How is work? What water do you drink? When was the last time you went to see a dentist? And what do you do against electromagnetic radiation? And the doctor basically doesn't ask you these things because he's not interested in, and he doesn't see that there's any relationship, any vicious circle between these topics and his health. Besides that, most of the doctors themselves drink unhealthy water, and in their practice, they have loads of electromagnetic radiation bombarding themselves and the patients. While they try to make the patients become healthy, they bombard them with electromagnetic radiation. And even, of course, they have geopathic zones in their practice. They don't know even what it is. I will do another webinar soon about geopathic zones, which are called the secret reason for cancer. And I will, of course, always try to substantiate it. So what's the basic situation? The basic problem, the real basic bottom line problem, to my opinion. The doctors should not treat diseases, but people with diseases. People with diseases. Most doctors can neither think or act holistically, or even know what holistic really means. Holistic and health nutritional consultants consider the human body in an entire environment as a complex system, which can be influenced, harmed, and unbalanced by serious factors. But you have to look at the entire picture, not a physical health symptom. You have to look at the entire picture. And most people cannot do that because they treat the symptoms, but not the cause. And Buddha, many, many years ago, already stated clearly, the symptoms are not important. If you handle the cause, the effect will go away anyway. Cause and effect. He said that. He wrote that. So it's not a miracle. You just wake up and listen and look and read. But there's the other question as well. How many patients want really to get to the bottom of their problem? Which could mean that they have to change their lifestyle. They have to change habits. Hard to change habits. Most people cannot change habits. Many patients want a quick solution. Give me a pill which immediately solves the problem. A chemical toxic product can mask the problem, can mask the pain, but not solve it. Example, headache. Of course, if you have headache, there are pills and you don't feel the headache anymore. People think wrongly, the headache is gone, the headache is not gone. It's just numbed, you don't feel it anymore. And if a doctor would say, here's the solution, here's the pill, or half an hour a walk in the forest, fresh air, breathe, look around yourself, the world, look at the beauty of the trees and plants and animals, and then go back home, which in many cases would solve the problem. No, the people don't have time to do that. They rather take pills. This is an instant society. We want instant success. We want instant coffee, instant food, and we want instant to be relieved from pain. We're in an instant society. The education, the training of the doctors is quite lengthy and expensive. And whether you become as a student a good doctor or not so good doctor, the cost for the education in university is basically the same. And training to be a good doctor is more expensive and takes longer because a good doctor starts to educate him and herself after she left university. And I can well imagine that most or many even doctors, when they got their diploma and opened the practice, they had the good cheer and were full of good intentions. But then life, the practice, money, got in many people's way. And usually the training is unfortunately specialized. They get a deep training in only 5% of a 360-degree spectrum. They take 5% or 5 degrees out of that, and they're educated in this part, not being educated to look at the under 355 degrees. So they're partially blind. And being that blind, they often cause damage. They cause damage to the health of the patients. And if a patient works with this kind of doctors over years, over decades, the patient becomes a medical wreckage. There's no question. Many times the side effects of a drug causes more problem than the original problem ever was. And of course, the pharmaceutical industries is trying to have products which are patented to make a lot of money and which promise heaven on earth, but of course with no guarantees. It's said when hospital staff goes on strike that the death rate drops. The death rate drops when they go on strike. And when they come back from strike, the death rate rises again. I have here some figures I would like to give to you. The US spending per capita on health is currently the highest in the world. Yet the US ranks now only at the 37th actual place in health statistics in the top industrial countries. And the US has the highest infant mortality rate. The US also rates only 24th in life expectancy. Why is that? Ever thought about it? Medical doctors have killed more than 10 million Americans in the last 10 years. More than all the combined victims from every war that America has ever fought through the entire history. You don't find these statistics very often easy on CNN. The third highest cause of death in the US is induced in a patient by a physician's activity, manner, or therapy. This accounts for an estimated 225,000 deaths per annum. 225,000. The highest cause of death in the US is heart disease, followed by cancer. Right. These are just some numbers which I really wanted to point out to you as a basic idea that you see about what are we talking here. Because these are not numbers you hear every day in the news. The other problem is that medications tend to have stronger effect at age. The risk increases as the number of medication increases. When they only take 5 drugs, it already reduces their problems of improving their life and their health by 50%. I've seen patients which take easy 5 different products a day, 10, I've seen up to 20. I personally witnessed people up to 20 medications. Now the problem is, of course, these medications have side effects. And these side effects are on the bottle. If they're listed all, let's assume, okay, fine. Now you have product 1, which has side effects. And then you have product 2, which has side effects on its own, each one. But they've never been tested. What happens if you take these 2? Will this change, improve, or increase the number of side effects? And I say it will. And never ever, to my opinion, will anybody ever test how these products interfere with each other, crash in each other. So the more products they take, the more the side effects add up and become more drama than ever before. All the statistics are around, but people don't know it, and doctors don't talk about it. And it doesn't take rocket science to see something is seriously wrong in our society, not only in the health arena, but in many other areas as well. In principle, the doctors are educated and trained to suppress symptoms. If you suppress a symptom, it usually, typically, raises its head as a problem somewhere else in the body. Suppress here, something comes up here. And everybody's different. So their physical makeup, what works for one, may not work for another. Now, I don't deny in the Western world medicine, there were quite a few of enormous achievements, especially in the field of surgical interventions. And there still are. And I've seen enormous people working their butt off to achieve things which were not known a long time ago. On the opposite side, very often unnecessary things are done. And I give you an example, for example, pregnancy. Over the years, it became to me obvious that more and more doctors manipulate pregnant women into C-sections. C-sections, I think, make more money to a hospital than anything else. C-sections are a moneymaker. I believe they make more money to the hospital than a regular birth can ever do. And of course, we have this big theme of cancer, chemotherapy. Talking about money, you must talk about cancer. A chemotherapy treatment costs the patients and the health insurance company between $1,000 and $12,000 and up to $48,000 a year. The Novartis preparation, Kymriah, that works against forms of leukemia, costs only $475,000. You think it's a bargain? Yeah, $475,000. The product Keytruda of the US group Merck estimates filling the coffers per patient for 3 weeks with $10,000. And for a year, $150,000. The health insurance typically pays for a cancer patient, on average, $42,000 per year. In certain cases, up to $1 million. Well, what do you think? Any questions left in light of those images, in light of those statistics?